He's right about this. Just this morning, a Whole Foods market in San Francisco closed its doors after just 1 year reportedly over the relentless crime issue there. Jason Rantz, Seattle talk show host. So I know you're not in San Francisco, but you talk about this all of the time. So I know you can answer this question. Can San Francisco be saved at this point? I mean, if the businesses leave and the revenue goes.
It is 100% up to the people on the ground. They have to not just demand action, but then follow through with their demands. San Francisco, like so many other cities, is the result of a constituency that has not done enough to save itself. You get the government you deserve, and when you put in place people who impose these policies that lead to these outcomes, you are partly to blame, but the good news is you can fix this. At the end of the day, we can point specifically to why this is happening. You can start with the crime crisis due to permissive policies coming from the left. You can look at homelessness, which is also treated in such a permissive way. But beyond this, as I'm hearing this story, I'm thinking of something that happened here in Seattle just 2 days ago. A homeless guy randomly stabbed someone who was offering them food. And it didn't get a whole lot of coverage. And I'm willing to bet on the ground in San Francisco, some of these stories don't get the level of coverage that they deserve because it's not all that shocking anymore. This has become normalized, and we have to push back against that. This is not normal. We shouldn't accept this, and we have to demand more.
We cannot normalize abuse and violence. You put that so importantly, Jason. Further south in Riverside County, near Los Angeles, actually, one sheriff has a dire warning. Let's watch.
They are recruiting more and more juveniles into the criminal side of things to do these crimes. For them, a juvenile pretty much has to almost kill somebody to be placed in custody and remain in custody. They're in one door and out the other, and that emboldens them.
You know what is so true about what that California sheriff just said, and we're seeing it here in New York City. The more you allow, the farther the criminals will go.
This shouldn't shock anyone. These are bad people who are taking advantage of a system that is allowing them to continue this kind of behavior. In California, for police to talk to a minor, they would have to get the minor to see a lawyer first. A lawyer, of course, is never going to allow their client to speak. We have the same law here in Washington State, and we're seeing it time and time again, and law enforcement saying the exact same thing. We would love to be able to intervene and get these kids on the right path before they go too far along and become violent. We have to start pushing back.
I see your point with that. A progressive media host fired back at her fellow liberals over woke gender language. Last month, Young Turks co-host Anna Kasparian called terms like birthing person or person with a uterus degrading. She doubled down yesterday. The meltdowns over wanting to be referred to as a woman rather than a birthing person is pretty wild. I'll never apologize for that, she wrote on Twitter. But her far-left critics don't let up. I'm a woman. Inclusive language has never erased me, said one. People are dying, and she keeps crying about a phrase. Jason.
Yeah, well, first of all, I find that ironic because it's folks on the left who are word policing for the most insipid reasons while ignoring actual violence. But let's talk about this. If trans women were actual women, we wouldn't say trans women. But even folks on the left say trans women. There is a way to be respectful about transgender folks and acknowledge transgender folks without erasing women. You have generations of women who fought for equal rights to be visible. And now all of a sudden, the feminists on the left are either completely silent as women are getting attacked, or they're playing along with this. Biological men and biological women are different. It is not controversial to say that. And it's certainly not controversial to acknowledge that there is such a thing as women. And that's important to discuss and accept before having any of these other conversations about trans issues.
Well, and you see on the left constantly the flex of we've hired a diverse player, a woman, someone black, all of that. And then this.
Tokenizing.
That's counter, right? Jason Rantz, thank you. Outnumbered after the break.